Hey everyone, welcome back to the Guitar Tales series, where I'm basically taking you on an episodic tour through my collection, picking a different guitar each time to just yap about for a bit, really. And today's subject is this old thing. I'm sure you have heard the phrase, if such and such could talk, what stories would it tell? And this guitar is basically the physical embodiment of that phrase. I found this covered in dust, sitting forgotten in the corner of a pawn shop, leaning against the wall behind a bunch of other stuff, and it looked like it had been sitting back there for a very long time. It was in dire need of some attention. The selector switch was broken off. The bridge and tailpiece were severely corroded. The bridge itself was caved in from string tension on it over time, and I guess it was made out of some sort of cheap pot metal. The frets were, and still are, worn down to basically nothing, and several of them, at the time that I got it, were popping out of the fretboard. And it just, overall, I felt bad for it. It needed some help. So I got it for, I think, $100, and proceeded to do all I could to bring it back to life. I changed out the bridge and tailpiece, obviously, put in a new selector switch, and then my dad and I tried to the best of our ability, level the frets and get the ones that were popping out glued back down. That's really all I have done to it. The first sign that I had, besides just thinking that it looked cool before I got it, that made me think maybe it was worth getting, was the fact that the frets were worn down to nothing. This guitar has been played so much by someone before me, and that's a big part of why I say I think it has a big story to tell. But the real mystery lies on what it is, because as you can see, there's nothing on the headstock. The only thing, label-wise, on the guitar at all is that little sticker on the back, which you can't see what it says in camera, but it says LP19B. And looking that up, doing some research, points me to one of three brands, either Univox, Memphis, or Eros. They were all made in the same Japanese factory in the 1970s. It's hard to identify which one it could be, but there are a couple things that point to this being an Eros over one of the others. First, because of the headstock shape, it doesn't actually have the open book headstock. Secondly, it's a bolt-on neck, but it has a rounded off base of the fretboard here. And it's going to be hard to see on here, but the potentiometers are not all mounted within the same distance of each other. From those details, plus the fact that it has a 0 fret, all kind of have pointed me to thinking it is a Eros instead of one of the others. The zero fret, not so much as the other stuff. You would think it would be a very identifiable feature, but all of those brands that I have mentioned, I have seen ones with and without the zero fret. I don't understand the rhyme or reason to which ones they put it on. Apparently, a zero fret was a cheaper means of production, so maybe they only put it on the lower end models from those companies. I'm not sure, but the construction of these guitars seems a bit jumbled up. Body is made out of some sort of quite heavy mahogany plywood, and although the top is arched, it is not a carved top. Instead, it's a very thin piece of what appears to be maple that is glued at the corners and then put in a tension arch. So there's actually, if you took the pickups out, you could see a space between the top and the actual slab of the body. And I think it forms kind of a resonance chamber in it. It gives the guitar almost some semi-hollow type tonalities while still having that dark, heavy response that a Les Paul typically would have. The tuners, someone changed out from the import tuners with that like rhombus shaped backplate on them. It now has Grovers on it. And the pickups in these guitars were metal cover pickups that looked like humbuckers, but only had one coil inside them. But these are actual humbuckers. And I can't remember why. Maybe it was the way the base plate was shaped or something. Made me think when I was restoring this guitar that maybe these were some sort of very old DiMarzios. They look to have been in it for quite a long time. It was probably done in the late 70s, early 80s, and really the only aftermarket pickup company in existence back then that had any sort of traction would have been DiMarzio. I don't believe there's any markings on there to actually determine that, and I'm just going off of memory, so don't take my word for it. But whatever they are, they sound incredible, and it's one of the main reasons I keep this guitar. What makes it so interesting to me is that if it is in fact an Eros, they were never sold in the US, and it seems that there is only a handful of them in the States. Eros guitars, from the research I did back when I got this, if I remember correctly, were the house brand of, I don't remember the name of the store, but there was a guitar store in the UK that was run by an Italian family, and they wanted a house brand. They outsourced the production of their house brand, which was Eros, to a factory in Japan. That factory made these along with the Univox guitars and Memphis and a few other of those old lawsuit 70s guitars, and then imported them back to the UK for sale at that store. So how did it end up in the US? The pawn shop I got it from was just down the road from an Air Force base. And my theory is either someone from there went on deployment, bought the guitar overseas, and brought it back to the US. That's the most likely, or maybe a band from overseas came to the base to perform a concert or something, and then the guitar ended up getting left here after that. I don't know. But the guitar is very banged up. It's got tons of buckle rash. Like I said before, the frets are worn down to nearly nothing. And it has had some quality of life improvements to it. The tuners, the pickups, things like that. It just leaves me thinking, what all has this guitar seen? Where has it been? This might sound kind of weird, but I have a strange sort of respect for this guitar. I kind of have this feeling like if I had not found it and bought it when I did, it probably would not have been long before it ended up in a dumpster. So I kind of feel like I rescued it. I don't play it that much, mainly because of the neck. The neck is a baseball bat. It's huge. It is a massive C profile, and the frets being how they are makes it more difficult than I would like to solo on. But it does make for an excellent rhythm guitar. As my dad puts it, it has a lot of mojo. And I really can't bring myself to get rid of it, even though it is one of my lesser played guitars. Partially because I don't know exactly what it is. I really have no idea what it would sell for. And there's something about it that I just feel drawn to it. I would love at some point to teach myself how to do a fret replacement on it. The 0 fret might make that a little more interesting of a job than usual. Yes, it has binding on it, but the binding is already cracked at pretty much every fret, so I'm not really concerned about damaging the binding by replacing the frets. So that's something I may do eventually on it, but for now, I just use it as an occasional riff writing guitar. From my initial research, I had dated it to either 1970 or 1971, but really it could be from any time from like 1970 to 1978, somewhere in that time period. And it's just a really neat old vintage Japanese guitar. So that's the basic rundown on this thing. If any of you have any information on these guitars or can help me identify it in a better manner, whether it's an Eros or a Memphis or a Univox or whatever it is, feel free to let me know. Please let me know. But for now, that's the general rundown, and I will play out the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.